Homeostasis, it's actually given in the name. It's the condition of a relatively stable internal environment maintained, and that's the key point, maintained within narrow limits. Homeostasis is achieved through the actions of the nervous and endocrine systems. So, let's talk about the endocrine system for a bit. The endocrine system is made up of glands that make hormones. Hormones are the body's chemical messengers. They carry information and instructions to and from cells. It starts with the pineal gland in the brain, and the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Now, the endocrine system is actually a system which is different from other systems in the body. For example, the nervous system is all of it connected. The circulatory system, all of it connected. The respiratory system, all of it connected. The digestive system, all of it connected. The endocrine system, at first, is not all of it connected. It's just a sum of it is essentially a sum of glands located throughout the body. Where the hypothalamus is a really important gland, so it is the pituitary gland, so is the pineal gland and the thyroid. Now, all of the glands are really important because they carry information and release instructions to and from cells. So it is a really important system. The nervous system, which is also an equally important system, is made up of the central nervous system, the CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, the PNS, where the central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. Whereas the PNS, the peripheral nervous system, is made up of peripheral nerves. Despite the naming, both of them are really, really important. Now, obviously this is about homeostasis, and we haven't talked much about homeostasis besides the definition. So I think it's my duty to kind of explain it a bit more. Besides the definition, right? So let's take into consideration, actually, let's go back here, sweating, right? So when we're talking about homeostasis, it means maintaining a constant internal environment. And let's use the endocrine system, for example. We're going to talk about sweating, we're going to talk about the endocrine system, and probably other systems. But let's start with the endocrine system. We know that the pancreas will release two hormones. So one is called insulin, right? And the other one is called glucagon. When we eat a lot of sugary foods, what will happen is that there will be a lot of glucose released in our blood. A high glucose concentration will trigger insulin to be released from the pancreas. As insulin is released from the pancreas, it will send signals to cells. It will travel through the bloodstream, first of all, and it will send signals to cells to take up glucose from the bloodstream, and it does so by binding to a receptor on the surface of the cell. So then glucose is absorbed by different cells from the bloodstream. Now, as glucose is absorbed, the concentration of glucose in the bloodstream can fall. Sometimes it can fall below the normal concentration of what it should be. And if it falls below the normal concentration of what it should be, then there will be a signal sent to the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland will send a signal to the pancreatic gland to release glucagon. Glucagon then will release sugar back into the bloodstream. But where was sugar initially stored when insulin was released into the bloodstream and it indicated to cells to take up as much sugar as possible? And from where was it broken down to and released back into the bloodstream? Well, glucose is initially stored in the form of glycogen, and hence the name glucagon. When there is a lot of glucose present in the blood, it will be stored back again in the form of glycogen. And after it's stored in the form of glycogen, when glucose levels fall below what they are required, the body will send signals to break down glycogen back into glucose. Let's take another example of homeostasis. Another example of homeostasis would be sweating. So let's say we are working out. Whilst working out, we will start to eventually sweat. As we are sweating, we are releasing thermal energy back into the outside environment. So the very reason we sweat is because our body temperature, it's actually reaching levels that it shouldn't reach, so it's going above certain levels. And obviously there are enzymes in our body that cannot operate above a certain temperature, right? So enzymes are the things that carry out certain functions in our body. They need to be operating optimally. In order for them to operate optimally, they can only do so only in certain temperature ranges. And obviously our body temperature needs to be in that range, so that's why we sweat. So let's say you're working out, the body temperature increases quite a bit. As the body temperature increases quite a bit, you'll start to sweat. Sweating will actually reduce the temperature of your body. Now, how does sweating do that? It does that by something that we call evaporative cooling. So as the sweat evaporates from our skin, and this happens with other animals as well, as the sweat evaporates from our skin, it is essentially removing high energy particles from our skin, because it is the high energy particles that can have enough energy to evaporate, basically.